Ticklish business any way you look at it. Come on, we'll stick together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Ticklish Business, the podcast all about celebrating and honoring old Hollywood. I'm Kristen Lopez, and we are doing a special episode in honor of my new book, But Have You Read the Book? Romance Edition, which is out now. Shameless plug, go buy it. And I figured it was an awesome time to talk to somebody that I've always wanted to have on the show, because she's cool. And she is a big fan of Rudolph Valentino's 1921 film, The Sheik.
I love problematic things.
I
do. It's true. I do. I love my problematic fave in so many ways, Rudy Valentino.
And we're going to get into that. It's the great Lindsay Ellis here to talk about Rudolph Valentino, E.M. Hull's original novel, The Sheik. I'm very excited to get into that. Of course, we'd love to remind everybody the podcast is on all social media at Ticklish Biz and Instagram at Ticklish_biz or at Twitter at Ticklish_biz. We're still on there for reasons. And if you like what you're hearing, consider heading over to patreon.com/TicklishBiz. Help keep the lights on, like some other great people like Ali Moore, Sean Goudreau, Richard Silver, all sorts of cool folks over there. They get episodes 48 hours early. They get all sorts of fun things. And we are at YouTube at youtube.com/@TicklishBusiness doing video, which is where you're watching this. Yay! So we're going to talk about The Sheik. This is based on the 1919 book by E.M. Hull. Stands for Edith Maud Hull.
This is the most 1919 name ever.
It is the most 1919 name.
Edith Maud.
It tells the story of Lady Diana Mayo, played by Agnes Ayres. She is a woman that wants to wear pants and go out into the desert, damn it. And she does, and is immediately absconded by the Sheik, Ahmed Ben Hassan, played by Rudolph Valentino. And that is the plot. I mean, things happen, but that's the inciting incident. So I forget which episode you did the video on where you brought up that you are a Sheik defender, appreciator.
Yeah.
And
defender is a strong word. This is kind of a difficult movie to defend.
But I was really into how you were talking about. I'm curious, when did this enter your life? What drew you to it? How did you become a person that one of the few people that name drops this movie? I've at least never heard that.
Yeah, I guess part of it is because it was extremely influential in like the book and the movie, in this idea that like media could be a smashing mainstream success while also centering like female fantasy and female pleasure. Like if there is a kind of a glass ceiling that both the movie and the book broke, I would argue that it's that. I must have been working on a video that never got made, because I mentioned it in a video pretty recently.
It was the last couple of months. It's not like when we had Princess Weeks on the last episode, and I was like, you brought up How to Steal a Million, and I held on to that for a year waiting for this moment. I think it was more recent.
it was a video about romantasy. Which makes a lot of sense, because like the Sheik structurally has a lot in common with your typical romantasy book. And so my argument but I remember like reading The Sheik and like really enjoying it and being like feeling really bad about how much I enjoyed it. Have you read the book?
I have, yeah.
It's an easy read. It's
such an easy read. When TCM suggested I include it in the romance book that I wrote, because it's about literary adaptations.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've never read this book, and I was like enthralled by like how 1919 it is. So I was just like, oh no, what? It's a page turner. It's a page turner in the best and worst ways.
Well, I think the real revelation with that book is its ending. Like, obviously, there were a squillion books before that book came out where it has a female who decides to go adventuring, and then she's like abducted or something by like the lusty ethnic, and she dies. And the revelation here is that she likes it, or grows to like it. I guess I should say she really doesn't like it at first. And B survives, and they hook up and they get married and they live happily ever after. Or actually, I don't know. It has a weird implication because I just reread the ending of The Sheik, and like it has like where he's like, oh man, are you sure you want to get with me? And she's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, okay. Like, I think his last line in the book is something like, you're gonna have like a nightmare for a husband. And then the book just ends. But like it lets her live. It lets her kind of like grow to like her captor. And that was a totally new thing in 1919. Like, and I think that really kind of is a big part of the reason why that book was so successful.
It's really an interesting product of its time, right? Because I did a little research on Edith Maud Hall, and she was a woman who decided to take up the literary tradition. Not a lot of avenues for women at this time period to really like go out and do jobbing, so she decided to take up writing, and she's picking a really ingrained kind of tradition in literature at this time, the Orientalist romance, and that you had Byron had some stuff in that tradition. There's 1001 Nights. So you have this really rich literary tradition, rightly or wrongly, that's about exoticizing the Middle East. And I think what I was really struck by in reading the book and watching the film, which was only made 2 years after the fact, is how by the time 1921 rolls around and you get this script written by Monty Catterjohn, another very early 20s name, they're already softening things about the book. They're like, look, there is so much assault. It's way less rapey. And so already you're getting this idea of what a burgeoning movie audience is going to accept from a romance novel. Now, that's not to say this movie is still not rapey and racist as all get out, but it's clear that they knew that there were limits.
Yeah, I want to think this was before like the Hays Code. There was like an unspoken code in Hollywood where they were like, okay, we can't do this, we can't do that. And it was in a weird way kind of even more strict than when the Hays Code came along. Like Phantom of the Opera, one of my core personality traits as a franchise. They did originally film the book ending, which is the same as the musical ending, which is that like the Phantom has Christine and Raoul, who are our leading, breeding pair. And he kind of gives Christine an ultimatum, which is like, marry me or I'm going to kill them. And
one does.
As one does. And that usually works, in fairness. And she, and so Christine like goes like, okay, fine, I'll marry you. And she like kisses him. And just this one act of sort of like affection, just like completely breaks him down. And he realizes that he's like, he can't do this. And he's been a huge little jerk face, and he lets them go. And so like there's this sort of redemptive element. I wouldn't say he like gets redeemed, but like the book and the musical end with him like choosing to let the victims go rather than like him being punished. There was a big push for like the changing of the Lon Chaney version of Phantom of the Opera in 1925 to have it be like he gets punished, he gets like killed. And so like the ending of the movie is like kind of a weird outlier as far as the bajillion D Phantom adaptations go, because like they usually kind of keep some version of that intact. Like the Phantom chooses his fate in some way, shape or form, even if it's not identical to like the way the musical ends or the book for that matter. But like it's so like, no, he did bad and he gets attacked by an angry mob and killed and thrown into the river and he dies. And it feels really jarring because you could tell like watching the film that, and there's also that Orientalism element in there too, where there's this character named the Persian who was obviously filmed to be a Persian guy, and then they add this like reshoot scene where he like is like, actually I'm French and I was pretending to be a Persian fellow, and that's what I was wearing the hat, don't worry about the hat. And so yeah, there was like a weird unspoken rule, and it's interesting to look at the Sheik where it's just like it does kind of like at least but it does the same thing. What am I thinking? It does the exact same thing. It does the same thing. And where it's like you think he's of an Arab descent, or in the case of the Persian, of Iranian descent, but no, don't you worry, he's a secret white. It's okay. It's not miscegenation. He's a secret white.
I think that's something that really struck me in rewatching the movie. I did not reread the book for this, but I did rewatch the movie, and I remember
the book absolutely does it too. Yeah, because I reread it. Yeah. And it's very like, and here is 5 pages about how he became a secret white.
Well, and I think too, the emphasis on purity and whiteness, I mean, you look at it also in something like Phantom of the Opera, or any really the 1920s in film, where this concept of like the pure white woman, I mean, hell, of course you have something like Birth of a Nation, this idea of feminine white purity being besmirched, right, by black and brown people. And here, Agnes Ayres as Lady Diana Mayo, I mean, she's so white, her last name is Mayo. I mean, come on. But I remember in the book them making a really big deal about the fact that, like, she wants to wear pants and she's not married, she wants to traverse the desert. And the movie kind of hints at that a little bit. She's got this opportunity to marry a nice white guy. And because of her chutzpah, in the fact that she dresses up as a secret, Arab person in the outfit, and tries to infiltrate what they are talking about, because she won't go into the casino. It kind of opens this door of like, oh, well, I guess she's asking for it. It's so questionable.
She's asking for it, but she kind of likes it, but it's okay that she kind of likes it, because don't worry, he's white. Except for, like, this was back before Italians were white, so I guess Rudy Valentino was still pretty spicy. He would have been, like, a baby step away from like, an Arab, like, as far as race was constructed back then, because, like, they were just like, yeah, he's Italian. It's like, what's his name? Iron Eyes Cody, who was also Italian and played Native Americans up until, like, the 80s.
Exactly.
You whatever. Okay, so he's not white. He's Italian.
I mean, Valentino, the Valentino of it all with this movie, cannot be understated, because the movie became Valentino, and Valentino became the movie.
Right. There was an Robert Pattinsonification of Rudy Valentino, because I got this book a million years ago. It was called Dark Lover, and it was like the Rudy Valentino story. And he, if memory serves, because it's been a while since I've read it, he did not love being like a romantic lead. He considered it kind of
at all. He was not a fan. He wasn't the first choice for this. They wanted a white guy, I'm guessing. They wanted a theater trained actor, and it didn't work out. And I want to say that the head of the studio's secretary was like, "Hey, there's this Italian guy who'll work for cheaper than if you got an A-list star." And so they cast him, and the movie made his career. Like, it made him who he was, and he did not really care for that. He didn't want to be perceived as this kind of wide-eyed ethnic lover. And then, of course, that also brought weird, like, people were accusing him of being gay as well. I think that one of the
because it's funny how, like, time is a flat circle, and we're going through this again, where it's just like, if women like you, fellas, is it gay if women like you?
Yeah.
Like,
I want to say, like, one of the big like reviews he got that really pissed him off at the time was like calling him, quote, a pink powder puff. Like, that was the complaint. He was like, "How dare you?"
Yeah, he's like, "I'll fist fight you in the streets."
And I mean, his performance in this is very 1921.
Yeah, it's very silent film. Like, the thing about silent film is it does have that theatrical streak to it that would get toned down very quickly once sound started getting added to the mix. Because I guess that's the thing. Like, the first time, like, I watched the Sheik, I was very, like, entranced by Valentino. I was just like, yeah, this guy can get it. I can totally see why women were obsessed with him. I think he's very good at sort of walking this fine line between, like, scary and desirable. I totally buy that Diana, wants to hit it. She wants to fix him. I'm like, yes, I can fix him too. I also would like to, do a hurt comfort fic with this guy. You know, we can heal each other's wounds. It'll be okay. And then, you know, he's very emotionally unavailable, which I also love. You know, it's just like there is definitely something to him as a performer. You know, he captures the essence of the book really well.
He does, even though I think, you know, and even he, I think, complained about the fact that he does spend a lot of the movie making big eyes and creepy smiling at her throughout the whole
there's
thing.
a lot of leering.
There's a lot of leering. But he has this bearing. He's got this carriage to him that I can only assume ladies in the 1920s, I mean, having something that's on the screen. You know, you brought up Robert Pattinson, and I can just see when you don't have film is still a new medium in 1921, you know, and you're able to like sit in a theater with other women and you see this dude and all you have maybe is your small circle of guys in your neighborhood. And you're like, this is what's out there in the world.
Yeah, this is what I'm missing out on. Like, yeah, he can hit me. Like,
yeah, I get. You're like, okay, fine, ladies, I get it. You know, and I was really, I appreciated that. You know, of course, Valentino was not Middle Eastern; he was Italian, but he understood, I think, for reasons that I don't necessarily know, but he understood the danger that the movie could have put forth for how it represents Middle Eastern men, because he said at the time, quote, "People are not savages because they have dark skins. The Arabian civilization is one of the oldest in the world. The Arabs are dignified and keen-brained." Which I was appreciative that he brought up, like, this is a movie. This is not how you look at an entire group of people. And honestly, considering how celebrities nowadays are terrified to make political statements, I was like, Rudy coming out and saying, like, this is not facts right here. Like, please don't take this as truth about these people.
I can see why he would take, because like the book, and I guess the movie to some extent is interesting because like the book in particular kind of frames Ahmed as uniquely mean. like as far, like even amongst his tribe, like he's you know, like they like him a lot. They're ride or die. These are dudes, these are bros. There's no women here, obviously, but like and I guess that's part of why they can kind of like ignore how evil he is to women, because it's just like when women come along and his dudes, his bros, and eventually like a Frenchman comes along, like, and the Frenchman is just like, so you're just kind of holding her captive and raping her every night, huh?
And he's presented as kind of like a unicorn, right? There's also something off about him, right? So like this is a movie, the movie at least opens with the harem girl, right? It's like dancing all around, and they talk about you watch this young girl that's going to be married off to him, but she has a like boyfriend or fiance or something, and he's like, I can't stand in the way of true love, so I'm gonna let you guys get married. But they're all like, he could have anybody he wants. He could have multiple wives, and he
like, look at him, look at him, he could get it.
and so I think they make these little asides before the movie reveals that he is a secret white, that he is not necessarily adhering to the rules of his.
They may not be all evil, but they have mores that he deep down knows are wrong, even if those mores are not historically accurate. And that's okay. I don't know. It, like interacting with like, you know, the way cultures interacted back then and how echoed into like colonialism or whatever. It's like, it's kind of a weird thorny thing to untangle, because you kind of take for granted that like X, Y, and Z are like completely made up by the Victorians, and it's like, no, no, they did some fucked up stuff.
Exactly. And like I mentioned at the beginning, you know, Edith Maud Hull wrote, her husband went to World War I. She figured, what else am I doing? I might as well write some books. And
like, I bet he's like working alongside some really sexy, like T.H. Lawrence, you know, like I bet there's Omar Sharif out there wherever he is.
Exactly.
Just, like they can get it. I'm gonna write a book about that guy.
This became one of the 10 bestsellers in America for like 2 years.
Yeah.
She sold 1 million copies worldwide, and 1 million copies meant something at this time. Like
it means something now.
Like, I mean that too.
Yeah, that like can you? I'm like a fiction book selling 1 million copies.
Yeah.
exceedingly rare these days. It is next to impossible if you're not on an Oprah or a Reese Witherspoon or something.
You and I both know the struggle of publishing books in this economy. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, but
like if you crack 5 figures, you're already in the 1%. Like
exactly
7 figures, holy shit! It can't.
And she was heavily influenced by a lot of other romance writers, and this in turn influenced other romance writers to write books. And when I was doing research for the chapter for my book, you know, I was reading a lot about the rough wooing part of literature at this time, where I mean, yeah, you can't talk about either the book or the movie without talking about how prevalent non-consensual sexuality in this movie and the book is.
And still too, like I that's coming back in a big way, right? Like with Omega verse fiction, with the way romantasy sort of some of the time, that's its own you know, we could put a pin in that discussion. But yeah, it's like the sort of the appeal of consent being taken from you and secretly enjoying it. It's that's another thing that, like, I think there's a lot of discomfort around, and you know, and people kind of like either they're weirdly protective of it, like the pro shippers, or they are like, this is a demonic thing from hell and needs to be erased. And so there's not really much room to like really interrogate why this is appealing to so many women and some guys, of course, and thems. And I think that like it, you know, the reason why it hasn't really lost its appeal, you know, there is something to, like, you know, this intersection of pleasure and shame, right? And whenever consent is taken from you in this safe space, which is a novel, which is a fantasy, a visual novel, whatever, then you are allowed to kind of experience this, like, you know, extreme sexual situation without the attached shame of actually wanting it. And that's, you know, that's one way to explain it. I don't think it's this evil, vile thing. That's another weird way where we've kind of backslid, is this, like, you know, push against like these narratives that, like, no, I don't think this is a great template for how to conduct yourself in the real life, in the world, but I also don't think that's what it's trying to be. I don't think that the Sheik is going to, you know, be used as like a Turner diary for rapists, you know?
Yeah. And I think that that's something that, you know, throughout its literary life, you know, when it was published, it was considered an erotic novel. You know, it was described as, quote, poisonously salacious. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a book review I would love to get. I would love to get pull quoted as being like poisonous.
If we could only, because I think, like, I remember being honestly shocked by how graphic the book was, because like it came out before Lady Chatterley's Lover, right? Which is like, I remember learning about that one in high school, like as like, this one was so sexy, scandalous, and you read it and it's like, where's the sexy part? Like it all cuts to black. It's like, okay, she took a bath. Like, where is it? Like, it's not there. It's not graphic at all.
No.
Meanwhile, the Sheik very much is. Yeah.
The movie versions, I think, run way more with it. Mostly, mm-hmm. I read Lady Chatterley, and I'm like, this is ableist as hell. Like, this poor disabled man, okay? Everybody's, like, romping around, and he's just got to hang out in his house and, like, know it's all happening. Thanks a lot, D.H. Lawrence. But when the book dropped, I mean, a lot of people, I think I loved reading the reviews, you know, talking about how it had a detrimental effect on readers' minds, and, mm-hmm. and all
it always
that.
Does, right?
It always does. And I think when I was reading the book, like to your point, it's kind of chronic, you know, how often assault happens. Like that, there's that scene in the movie where she's sleeping and he's in the room with her. In the book, that is way more like salacious.
Right. Because like, I guess the interesting thing, the difference, the huge, like, I would say, like, you know, main difference between the book and the movie is that I don't think he ever, like, actually sleeps with her in the movie, right? Like, she makes a point. She asks the servant girl who supports her, because women support mm-hmm. women in this movie, that she slept in the room and that he has not. Right. So no, they don't share a room. He rapes her every night for months. Yeah. For months.
Like,
and
you see her escape in the book, I think 1 or 2 times. Like, she tries to make an escape.
Yep.
So, and it's clearly you understand why she wants to do that, because it's just so endemic to the plot how often the rape is happening. And of course, forced seduction was a plot point. I think a lot of some of the early critics at that time were comparing it to The Taming of the Shrew by Shakespeare, which is also hey, problematic fave of mine. I get it. And yet the movie, I'm going to name drop a movie that I also know you like and you've talked about, but Beauty and the Beast. I get a real Beauty and the Beast vibe watching this movie because it is that concept of like the Beast is holding Belle in the castle, but he really wants her respect and her appreciation and, yes, her love, and he's just kind of a douchebag about it. Like, that's I was like, oh, this is a Beauty and the Beast
and
principle
it hits a lot
here.
It hits a lot of the same kind of plot points where, like, he doesn't win her love until he lets her go. Although the way it goes down in the book, I don't think it goes down this way in the movie. Is she's like, I only want to be with you, and he's like, no, absolutely not. I'm a bad man. You can't do that. She's like, well, if I can't be with you, I'm gonna kill myself. And he's like, no, you're not. And so she goes into his bedroom, gets his gun, puts it up to her head, and he like does the like no, and she like barely misses, and he's like, Jesus Christ, okay. The book literally ends like, okay, I didn't realize you felt that strongly about it. Okay, I'll marry you.
In the book, you have a rival, right? There's another guy, the other Omer.
Who kidnaps her, the Gaston.
Exactly, the Gaston of this whole thing, who kind of shows her how bad things could really be.
You think if Ahmed is bad, what about...
Yeah. You think Secret White cosplaying as an Arab
Omar over bad. Here.
Wait till you meet the real one. It takes the term real bad Arabs to a whole new level. It's a lot. Which, again, that guy is just kind of a footnote in the movie. He pops up. This is an hour, 6-minute movie. He shows up, I think, like 6 minutes at the end. And that's really it.
It is a little bit more well-paced in the book. She's with that guy for like a chapter. Don't worry, Ahmed, he saves her. And by that point, he feels bad about the whole thing, and he's like, okay, I'll let you know.
and I think I also love that we have an early appearance by Adolphe Menjou, problematic in his own right forever for singing Thank Heaven for Little Girls and Gigi, in my opinion. Still one of the other cringy, a lot of people associated with cringe moments, whether now or in the future.
I mean, but I guess that's the thing, like, that's why people kind of struggle watching silent films now, is like they are so emotive in a way that it's like it's hard to see past the cringe, right? It ties into like cultural things or performance things. I think we do kind of struggle to meet things where they live. And I also kind of want to acknowledge that you can only do that so much, because obviously there are a lot of problems with like the Orientalism of it all, the way it kind of sidesteps and excuses sexual violence, but at the same time, it does kind of make it tricky to engage with in a good faith way when people, like I was saying earlier, like they're just so eager to protect whatever their, pet issue is, be it this thing good and we must protect it at all costs, or this thing bad and we must destroy it because it's destroying the minds of the youths.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is definitely one of those where, when I was watching it, I definitely have my silent film loves. I think it's comedy and romance, I think, are always the easiest ways in. Horror too, I think that's always a good gateway. Mm-hmm. And for me, kind of watching what was popular at that time and realizing how massive a star Valentino became. This comes out in 21. By the time he does the sequel, Son of the Sheik, in 26, he was dead. Oof. It's such a whirlwind dynamic to watch. And, I don't think anybody was left really pleased after doing this movie. Like, I know Valentino had issues with it. Agnes Ayers ended up losing all her money in the stock market crash of 29. I think she died young, too.
I imagine the producers were happy. They were just
I'm sure they were. Exactly.
Crying their way to the bank.
Edith Hull was pissed that she didn't make enough money selling the screen rights to the book and tried to kind of continue to do stuff that was similar. And yet I don't think this is a movie that could have existed in 1923 or 1920. Like, it had to be 1921. It had to be at that early dawn of film.
Right. When the stakes were low enough that like they would allow a movie that kind of centers the female gaze in as much as like 1920 was going to allow to be. Let us be clear, it was women that propelled the success both of this book and this movie and of Rudolph Valentino, which, you know, that fellows is a gay if women like you.
You brought up Chaney, you know, in the Phantom of the Opera of it all, which comes out 4 years after this in 1925.
And it's a much bigger production. Like by that point, bigger. Like when you watch the Phantom of the Opera 1925, it like the opening credits is just like so and so, so and so, so and so, so so, and a cast of thousands is.
I mean, like we talked about the rough wooing and the forced seduction plot line of the Phantom in the Chaney version. You know, it's more about the tragedy, right? You know, and again, as somebody who's written about disability in film, I'm like, you know, you're supposed to feel bad for this guy. Look at how unattractive he is. And of course, later versions of the Phantom of the Opera would play with that in all sorts of fun Gerard Butler-y ways. Just a little light smattering of something on the side.
He got a little too much sun this weekend. And now he's really upset.
Exactly. But I think Chaney is an interesting comparison to Valentino because both of them became so ubiquitous, right? I mean, Chaney becomes ubiquitous for how much he's willing to suffer for his art.
Because I think Chaney was and still is a lot more respected at the time. Like, part of that is because of like his talent with makeup. Like, they definitely like played that up at the time because he did his own makeup for both the Phantom and for Quasimodo. And like he, you know, there's all these pictures you can find of him with his makeup sets. And so there was like, he's such a, you know, a chameleon. He's such a visual genius with these, you know, characters that he comes up with, and he helps design them, and then he portrays them, and you can't tell a Lon Chaney from from movie to movie. And meanwhile, Rudy Valentino is he's just a little guy, you know, he's just a cute little boy.
And I think that's the thing, you know, if you've ever seen, I think right around the same time Lon Chaney does The Penalty, which is one of my favorite Lon Chaney movies. If anybody has not seen it, highly recommend it. I don't know how he hides his legs and looks like a dual leg amputee, but it is the best, just chef's kiss of visual effects ever. It's a great story about how a doctor decides that he got a bump on the head as a kid, so we got to amputate both his legs. How we do it. But even as a person who has no legs in that movie, I think the fact that Chaney also was very tall, he was very physically imposing, you know, and poor Rudy Valentino shows up and he's swathed in the headdress and all the you know, kind of felts and things. I don't know what fabric we're using, you know.
He's just a little guy. His silks, his oriental silks.
His silks and all of that. And then you contrast that when Adolphe Menjou shows up as his best friend from France, who's in the three-piece suit in the middle of the desert, you know, where you're just kind of like, what are we saying here about masculinity? Which I think is the thing that is funny about the third act, is that when Adolphe Menjou's character shows up, like, Ahmed's big thing is like, he's gonna take his girl, like he's gonna take her from me, and of course you get that moment where they're like, someone's been hurt, and that's the love test, you know, where she's like, is it him? And he's like, that means she digs me. But there is this real interesting kind of and that was something that Hull got praised for when the book came out, is how it's emphasizing at the end of this movie that the West is not always where happiness is found.
Right, because they stay in the in the desert.
They stay in the desert, exactly. Yeah.
She becomes his tribal queen, his Sheikina.
Exactly.
What are brides of Sheiks called?
Oh wow, that's somebody's probably screaming at the screen or whatever.
Yeah,
like they have a term.
Yeah, they have a term.
Yeah,
I'm going with Chikarina.
I mean, I'm down with this. You know, and
pretty sure it's not Sultana.
I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It's definitely not.
But the book, I mean, got a lot of praise for how it chooses to end things. Like you said, she doesn't die at the end. It's not like The Searchers, where John Wayne's like, I'm going to kill the girl rather than have her turn native on me. You know, they decide to stay in the West, or they decide to stay in the desert, and they don't go back to the West. And that got a lot of praise when the book came out. And I'm kind of surprised that the movie, for the most part, keeps that too, aside from the secret white thing. So
they can only be secret whites, you know, that happened over and over again. And I think it's interesting that, like, with Arabs, you can kind of get away with that, where it's just like a white guy with the tan, yeah, might be able to pass, or an Arab who hasn't been out in the sun for a minute, he might be able to pass. It is kind of fascinating how, like, this is kind of like one of the only racial groups that you see this with. Like, you see it with Arabs and Persians, and that's about it.
Exactly. If memory serves, you have the book fresher in your mind than I do.
Yeah.
But they go farther into the backstory of how he becomes the Sheik than in the movie.
That is another weird thing about books of that era. Like, again, the Phantom of the Opera does this too, where it's like, because like right now, obviously, we have to seed backstory throughout the entire thing, and then like you'll learn this thing, and it's a reveal, and it's like, oh, that makes sense with this thing we learned 6 chapters ago. But like both the Sheik and the Phantom of the Opera give their lore dumps at the very end. I guess the main difference between the two is Phantom does it in the epilogue. The Sheik does it like between attack by bad Sheik and Ahmed gets out of his coma from the bad Sheik attack. And so his French bro, he's the Vicomte. I believe his name is Raoul. I could be...
I think you're right. You're right.
But yeah, so another Raoul Vicomte gives her this huge lore dump about like, his dad married his mom, so don't worry, he's not illegitimate, but like he abandoned the mom because she speaks Spanish, so that's why he's a little spicy. He's a little spicy looking because there's a little bit of Spaniard in there. He goes back to England. They were big to do, and he just really hates the dad, and he hated the dad so much that like he just had to take it out on all English people forever and ever, amen. And that's why he was so mean to Diana. He would only have been that evil to her. If she was French, he would have been gentlemanly. If she was an Arab, he would have, like, you know, laid the red carpet out for her. It's only because she's English.
Serves, it's like the mom showed up pregnant, and the dad was like, go off into the desert. I don't want you anymore. And then, like, the mom went through the desert pregnant, and then
she finds another Sheik. Yeah, different, like his adopted different. It's just lousy with Sheiks out here. Throw a stone, hit a Sheik, and out here in the wherever the fuck we are, Tunisia, and so he gets like she's wandering in the desert, and this other Sheik finds a very nice Sheik. He's like, I love this white woman. I don't care that she's pregnant and married to somebody else. He likes her a lot, and then she dies in childbirth. Because of course she does, and he adopts Ahmed as his own, and he loves him as his own, and so he cherishes this foundling child for some reason.
I want this story. I was reading this backstory, being like, give me this story about this pregnant woman just wandering through the desert, being found by a wayward Sheik.
Yeah, like, he's a really sexy, you know, like, but he's a good egg, that one, because he he sees her, he has compassion, he treats her right, you know, he raises the kid. It's Ahmed's seen, I think, or I don't know if he's a bin Hassan, so that would be Hassan. So Hassan Senior, good egg, that one.
He's a great one. Tell me this story. Prequel me.
Prequel. But no, Son of the Sheik. Because Son of the Sheik. That one was pretty brutal.
I haven't seen it. See, that's the thing. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's pretty bad. Like, okay. For your Son of the Sheik episode, spoilers, it's bad and does not really merit existing. It's the exact same movie.
I think because Vilma Banky is the only distinction.
It's exact same movie.
But of course, we get kind of Adolphe Menjou telling her very briefly this kind of truncated backstory, and he's a secret white, which makes their relationship okay. Because I think even though we didn't have the code in 1921, we still have miscegenation laws,
right.
And we couldn't
which do not apply to Arabs. By the way, Arabs were considered. Yeah, that was the funny thing. Is like back then, Arabs were considered white. They were folded, and then the census, they were folded under the white umbrella. Fascinating stuff.
It's definitely one of those moments where I'm just like, I feel like this could have been an email. You could have just told me this like after we got married and all these other things. Yeah. But it's definitely one of those movies where I'm glad it exists. I mean, I'm glad that we have some of the earliest foundations of, I think, what the romantasy landscape builds off of today.
For good and
And I think it's also a really great example of adaptation, which is why I included it in my book, because it's clearly a studio was like, we are not going to get away with all this rape and sexual assault.
Maybe we shouldn't.
Maybe we shouldn't do all this.
Or do we care? I don't know. Maybe
exactly.
They don't care.
Exactly. So I mean, I'm glad you brought it up in your video so that we could talk about it.
Yeah, because I'm remembering now why I got into it. It was a video that never ended up getting made, but like I was reading a bunch of bodice rippers. And then for somehow or other, I got turned on to the subgenre of chic romance, which is like descended from the chic, but like it's a whole, like it's not as big as Scottish romance. I feel like Scottish romance is kind of like this weird intersection of it has to be white but still kind of ethnic. But like chic romance is like it's a pretty decently sized one, and there's like all these subcategories of it where
I did not know any of this until just now. So
yeah, there's an entire. It's not the biggest subgenre, but it's like it's an old one. It's like been around since the 80s. It's not so popular anymore. Obviously, it's been around since since the chic, but it like had a big resurgence after bodice rippers in the 1970s and 80s became really popular. Here you kind of have this like, and historical fiction becomes really popular, and so you already have this template where it's like, exotic, white adjacent, white on the census, but still spicy, ethnic, unfathomable. It's like printing money. So yeah, it was big in the Harlequins for a while.
Interesting. I mean, that's not surprising, but yet I'm like, it takes all kinds, takes all kinds to move book. But, I mean, I'm glad that I got to see the chic. I'm glad that I got to talk to you about it because, foremost chic expert as far as I'm concerned. So
a proud moniker, truly a proud title to hold and defend.
Yes, exactly. I mean, Lindsay Ellis, awesome all around. I recommend everybody watch her videos. They're awesome. Where can fans find you online? Anything you have coming up that they should know about?
Yeah, well, speaking of Arabs, I'm working on a video that's going to be a fundraiser for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. I'm very sorry about my chic apologia to everyone there. I'm also doing another big video for YouTube that'll probably come out right before that one, and that one's about cruise ships.
Okay.
So two very not related.
I'm ready for all of these. Yeah. I'm ready. So yay. And listeners, of course, you can find me on all social media at Kristen K. Lopez, as well as Kristen Lopez 88 over on Instagram. And my writing is always over at thefilmhaven.com. So please consider dropping by over there. I will have a new episode for all of you in 2 weeks. Until then.